With what can only be described as a civil war brewing behind the scenes between the FIA and Formula One management, everyone in positions of power in the sport is on high alert in order to avoid any further fallout. Unfortunately for the FIA, however, their president Mohammed Ben Sulayem has recently been embroiled in a major scandal involving sexist remarks he made more than 2 decades ago. But that's not all, as he was met with harsh criticism from the United Kingdom's Parliament for his views on human rights and some of the FIA's regulations on the subject. So let's take a look at why Ben Sulayem has been in such hot water lately, why the relationship between the FIA and FOM has deteriorated so much, and what it means for the sport in the future. The FIA president was quoted on his former personal website under his likes and dislikes section as having shown a dismissive attitude towards women, with the Times first revealing the content. From the page, which was online in 2001 while he was still competing as a rally driver, he stated his likes and dislikes were straightforward, writing, "I love the desert and I love meeting real people, and I dislike talking about money, nor do I like women who think they are smarter than men, for they are not in truth." However, the FIA has since responded to the president's comments with a spokesperson saying, "The remarks in this archived website from 2001 do not reflect the president's beliefs. He has a strong record on promoting women and equality in the sport, which he is happy to be judged on. It was a central part of his manifesto, and actions taken this year and the many years he served as vice president for sport prove this." The Paris-based FIA has for the first time appointed a female chief executive, Natalie Robin, while Tanya Kusenko serves as the body's first equality, diversity, and inclusion advisor. The FIA also has a commission on women in motorsport, led by Frenchwoman Deborah Mayer, as well as the Girls on Track initiative, which aims to increase gender equality and female participation worldwide. According to the BBC, the existence and contents of Ben Sulayem's old website had been discussed by senior figures within F1 since his election, but had not been made public until now. This report comes off the back of multiple controversial topics that are surrounding the FIA president, with even more criticism emerging after the fact. Just a day after his remarks about women were made public, Paul Scriven, a member of the United Kingdom's House of Lords, wrote to Ben Sulayem to express his concerns about both the FIA's crackdown on drivers making political statements and the president's failure to respond to correspondence sent last year. Lord Scriven explained in the letter that he was one of 90 lawmakers who wrote to motor racing's governing body last March to express their concern about the human rights implications of F1 racing in Gulf countries and what they perceive to be sports washing. Having never received a response from Ben Sulayem, Lord Scriven has now formally expressed his annoyance at the matter. "Almost 1 year has passed since you received this letter, and yet we have not had the courtesy of your response," he wrote. "Your failure to respond to our serious concerns is deeply discourteous and unprofessional. Why do you think you can ignore parliamentarians? Do you think that concerns raised over human rights and the policies of the FIA should be above scrutiny? We wrote to you in order to raise concerns that are in the public interest, and we expect openness and transparency from the FIA. For the sake of clarity, I still expect to receive a response to our letter dated the 16th of March 2022, and I am also making this letter open for the sake of transparency and public interest." The letter also expressed concern about the FIA's recent decision to prohibit drivers from making political statements, which Lord Scriven felt was directed at specific individuals. "It was with great concern that I learned of the FIA's decision to suppress F1 drivers' voices from speaking out in what you deem to be political statements, a policy that will serve to shield F1 host countries from scrutiny over injustice," he wrote. "It is very clear to me that this policy targets Sir Lewis Hamilton, your most outspoken driver, whose comments on countries with abysmal rights records, particularly Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, would have undoubtedly not been well received by these corrupt and abusive regimes." As well as writing a letter to Ben Sulayem, Lord Scriven has also posted on social media recently about the lack of reply he had from motor racing's governing body. In response to Ben Sulayem's tweet expressing gratitude to FIA staff for their efforts over the past year, he wrote, "This would be more impactful if you had the courtesy to have replied to 90 European parliamentarians who wrote to you in March 2022 about human rights issues rather than ignoring us." Lord Scriven's letter to Ben Sulayem follows an eventful week for the FIA president, who, apart from the news we mentioned earlier, has also received another angry letter from F1 owners Liberty Media regarding social media posts he made. After suggesting that a report of a $20 billion price tag for F1 was inflated, F1's legal department stated that Ben Sulayem was completely wrong to be discussing commercial matters. The letter stated, The FIA has given unequivocal undertakings that it will not do anything to prejudice the ownership, management, and/or exploitation of those rights. We consider that those comments made from the FIA president's official social media account interfere with those rights in an unacceptable manner. Of course, Formula One loves a good controversy, but this letter from FOM to FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem and the surrounding drama is much bigger than that. Rather than being a side story to F1's ongoing Netflix-era soap opera, it could signal the beginning of a shift in the way the championship is run. While the FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem and F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali have long presented a united front in public, paddock regulars are aware that things have been different behind the scenes. Away from the spotlight of television cameras, microphones, and journalists' notebooks, tensions have been simmering away for months now. Although many disagreements between the FIA's top man and the executives at F1 owners Liberty Media were previously resolved amicably behind closed doors, without the need for dirty laundry to be aired in public, things have changed dramatically. Indeed, F1's angry letter to Ben Sulayem has effectively made what one senior paddock source says is now open warfare between F1's regulator and its commercial rights holder. This conflict is a far cry from the decades when the FIA and FOM were as thick as thieves. Indeed, it is the polar opposite of the time when then FIA President Max Mosley and Bernie Ecclestone would conspire to divide and conquer the teams. Now we appear to be returning to the early 1980s scenario of a FISA-FOCA war, with Ecclestone on one side of the fence and FIA chief Jean-Marie Balestre on the other, with little common ground between them. But while the way Ben Sulayem expressed his concerns about the rumored $20 billion offer for F1 from the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund was the straw that broke the camel's back, tensions between him and FOM have been simmering for the last year. There has been a chain of events and reactions that have served to exacerbate the situation. Some of it is related to the governing body and how it has handled F1's regulatory affairs. This includes an unsatisfactory response to the FIA's errors at the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Ben Sulayem's initial blocking of more sprint races on the 2023 schedule, and concerns about some race control decisions and rule enforcement last year, such as the Monza safety car and Japanese GP points rule confusion. Some have also expressed concern about Ben Sulayem's preference for dealing with issues personally, rather than through more traditional presidential channels. While this personal focus can be argued to be a strength, such as how he spoke to all drivers and teams about the porpoising problem last year to formulate a response, there have been times when such an approach has irritated those within F1, especially when he has not been through all the details of incredibly complex matters in front of him. The FIA's release of the record-breaking 2023 calendar press release with his quote before F1 was aware of it, as well as that awkward onstage moment with Red Bull boss Christian Horner at the FIA gala over the Japanese GP confusion, riled up some figures within the series. However, things have gotten much worse in the last week as a result of social media posts on Ben Sulayem's personal account. The first was criticizing opposition to Andretti's new team bid, despite the fact that current competitors had largely kept their opinions on the matter private. Now though, his remarks about the Saudi interest and the $20 billion price tag have proven to be a step too far. The Saudi situation may exemplify everything that paddock sources are concerned about. Ben Sulayem's need to make a strong personal response to a story that insiders say was inaccurate and could be safely ignored. Rather than the Saudis looking to buy F1, the story was triggered by talks between the Saudis around the time of the 2021 Italian Grand Prix to get involved in Grand Prix racing, which did not materialize. Given that the story has resurfaced, it appears to be a deliberate leak designed to get the $20 billion price tag out there. Who stands to gain the most from it being discussed, and why now, is unclear. So what comes next? Let's just say it's possible that FOM will accept nothing less than an appointment of someone else to lead the governing body. Yes, Ben Sulayem could be on his way out. Please let us know your thoughts down below. If you've enjoyed our work, please consider liking, subscribing, and clicking the bell icon to be notified of new videos. Thank you.